Elemental Shaman can be one of the most complex specializations to play, but don't worry, if you're returning or you're a new player, I've got you, because this beginner guide is going to make things simpler than ever. My whole goal here is to help you achieve up to Keystone Master for 10.2 in Season 3 and or ahead of the curve in Heroic Raiding. If you are looking to do Mythic Raiding or Keystones above 20, then this guide is still going to be great for you, and it's going to give you a really core foundation in knowledge for this spec for you to, well, become a pro, really. First things first, let's look at the stat priority for an Elemental Shaman. This is my pyramid guide here. Basically, biggest at the bottom, this is the most you're going to want. Tip of the pyramid, least you're going to want. So in order, we've got haste, then crit, then verse, then mastery. So haste is what you want the most of, mastery being the least. But I wouldn't worry too much about this if you're a beginner. Basically, if it's an eye level increase and you're getting more intellect, then this is what you're going to pick anyway. Before we actually get into how to play it exactly with the rotation for 10.2, let's actually look at some of the core cooldowns, offensive and defense, and then some of the actual utilities as a shaman that you're going to be using. First of all, in defensive is Astral Shift. This quite simply is a 40% damage reduction defensive, very simple. You've then got an Earth Elemental. If your tank has dropped dead on the battlefield, then this is actually going to summon a big tanky Earth Elemental to help protect you and your allies. Nature's Swiftness is going to make your next nature, so damage, or healing spell instant cast. This is a very quick cooldown and is pretty straightforward, really. Of course, we're all going to know what this one on the right here is, which is Bloodlust or Heroism if you're Alliance. Can you tell I'm a Horde player? This is going to increase your party's haste by 30% and is one of the most well-known cooldowns in the game. Last but not least is the Storm Elemental. This is going to summon a big scary Storm Elemental to do damage for you, and it's as simple as that. Now moving on to the actual utilities. These are some of my favourite utilities we have at our disposal as shamans. There are, of course, a lot more, and I would say when you're much more comfortable with the build that you go through your spellbook and just see what else interesting things are in there for you. But first of all, we've got top left is Ghost Wolf. This is usable in combat. Transforms you into a wolf, gives you 40% movement speed. It is fantastic. I love it. I actually often, when I'm feeling really lazy, use this instead of even using a mount, which is crazy, I know, but I really can get that lazy sometimes as a shaman, and it's just really fun to use. A Hex, of course, if you're not aware of it, is like Polymorph that mages have. It incapacitates the enemy and transforms them for 1 minute. Then we've got Wind Shear. This is quite simply your interrupt or kick, as it's also known. And last, we have Water Walking. This is a really useful one. Probably not going to use this as much, but just thought I'd put this in here so you know we've got it available. You and other people, whoever you cast it on, can then walk on water. So here we are at the target dummies. I'm going to be showing you the rotation now. Before I get into that though, this is the talent build that I recommend for a beginner. I will say once you get your 4-set bonus, etc., that you can go to a much more optimal build. The whole idea of this beginner build is that it's easy to play and isn't going to overwhelm you, but is still going to give you a really good damage output. When you want to start getting more advanced, which the Elemental Shaman really can, you may want to swap over to something a bit more advanced. But this is going to do you really, really well to start off as a beginner. I won't go through what each individual talent does, but I will put an import string down below so you can just import this straight into your game and get straight on at playing. This rotation is going to be quite simple. I'm going to show you the core abilities that we're going to be using here. First off, we have Flame Shock. This is instant cast and has a small cooldown. We then have Lava Burst, Lightning Bolt, Frost Shock, Elemental Blast, and Chain Lightning. Now, we do actually have an extra resource as a Elemental Shaman, which is called Maelstrom. Some of our spells are going to build up this resource, and we're simply going to use it on Elemental Blast when we have enough, which is 75 Maelstrom. So we're going to want to keep up on the target Flame Shock. You can see here I've cast Flame Shock, and on the target it is now putting a dot or damage over time onto the target. You're then going to want to use Lava Burst when you have Flame Shock up on your target. And one other thing to note is that we actually have 2 cooldowns here. Our Storm Elemental, we're going to want to use this pretty much on cooldown or when we want to do periods of high damage. And then there is another cooldown I forgot to mention, which is Stormkeeper. Also use this when you can. Basically, it causes your next 2 lightning bolts to have a lot more damage and be instant cast. Outside of this Stormkeeper window, your lightning bolt is going to be your filler spell, which is meaning when you don't have anything else to do, cast this. So the priority is, like I said, Flame Shock, keep the dot up at all times. Then use your 2 charges of Lava Burst when this dot is up. We're then going to use Maelstrom whenever we can, and we're going to use Lightning Bolt as our filler. If it's AoE, you can use Chain Lightning instead. You can see here now we have enough to cast Elemental Blast, and here it comes. And then that has actually procced our Lava Burst, which we're then going to use. Although I haven't got Flame Shock up. Oops, naughty me. And the last one we're going to see here is Frost Shock. Now, the good thing about Frost Shock is it's instant cast and you can use it as much as you want, meaning that if you are on the move, to make sure you can still do damage, this is what we're going to use. So again, just to go over those, we've got Flame Shock, instant cast, Lava Burst, use this when Flame Shock is up, Lightning Bolt is your filler, Frost Shock for on the move, and Elemental Blast when you have enough Maelstrom. Your 2 main cooldowns, Storm Elemental and Stormkeeper, are going to be your offensive cooldowns. If you do want to change things up a bit for AoE, I will say that if you do have enough Maelstrom and there are 4 or more enemies, you can use Earthquake. If not, and you have Maelstrom, just use Elemental Blast, and then Chain Lightning is your filler rather than Lightning Bolt. And it is pretty much as simple as that. I hope this was useful and you got a lot out of this. Elemental can be a really fun specialization to play, and this is a really good starter build for you to get into the class. Let me know your comments below, and don't forget to check out my other guides.